Today, we are talking about letting go of attachment and shifting from forcing things to happen to freedom. So let's dive in.
Welcome to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, a place for the strong, sensitive, spiritual seeker to recognize the perfection of your human journey as a path to bridge both the emotional and spiritual worlds through proven and grounded frameworks that support you to live in the wholeness you already are. For over the past 2 decades, I have supported people from all around the world, as well as Fortune 500 companies, to dissolve the divisions within them and live with greater empowerment and love. This podcast is an exploration of the paradoxes that befuddle us as we live our lives being both human and divine. Together, you and I, along with other experts, will navigate integrating psychology and spirituality, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, the darkness and the light, to create greater sacred union from within. I believe through your remembering that you are innately divine, that you will allow yourself to more openly shine. So let's get to it, because your unique light is needed more than ever.
Hello, my strong, sensitive, spiritual people. I'm so excited that you are back with me. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast. Today, we are talking about letting go of attachment, which is something that is very much easier said than done, and really how we can support you. Like that. Too close to the beginning. Hello, my strong spiritual sensitives. I am so excited you are back. Welcome back, or welcome if you are brand new to the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast. So today we are talking about letting go of attachment and really how we can shift from trying to force things to happen to really feel freedom from within. And let me tell you from experience, this is much easier said than done. And I want to share with you what I've learned in supporting myself when I've found myself gripping with to dear life, to attaching to something outside of myself, as well as when I see others who I've supported, how to move beyond that place of the fear grip, the death grip, right? That we can have a hold on things. And so it's just amazing the things that our egos can grab onto. And it's everything from love, whether you're not in a relationship and you want to be in one, or you're in a relationship, but it doesn't feel loving enough, or not the type of love that you want, or your sense of connection with others. You can glom on to feeling you don't have enough best buddies, or the type of relationships that you have don't have fun, or they're not emotionally intimate enough. We can get glom onto our health and our well-being and how our bodies are changing, how we age, and even with our mental health and our emotions, how we do and don't feel. And of course, with success, we can really have this tight grip on making money, growing your career, how you're supposed to make a difference, what your purpose is. And we just, our egos. If you can't see me, I've got these hands that are like just, that scary grip that almost that you would use to scare someone. Like your hands go out and they're like in this attack mode. This is what our egos do to us. And it's not conscious. I know when I'm doing it, I'm not aware of it right away, because we can tell ourselves, we're just going for our heart's desires. And so, where does it switch from going for our heart's desires to I am going to make things happen no matter what? And I think the interesting thing about the latter is that people can have a lot of pride in that. Like, yeah, I can make things happen no matter what. And I proud of myself for that. I think what's interesting is that people can take this notion of I can make things happen no matter what and be really proud of that, even though when they're pushing and pushing and efforting to make this happen, they may or may not get the result that they want. Or if they do, it comes at the cost of themselves, or they're exhausted, where it's just not sustainable. So it's like we can tell right there it's coming from ego because we have this sense of pride. I can do whatever I set my mind to, which there's a beauty to, don't take me wrong. But when it comes to the cost of your essence, your soul, your being, it's not worth it. And that's when people have come to me and are saying, I need help because I've created all these things that I thought would make me happy. And I'm not happy. In fact, I'm depleted or I'm depressed or anxious, angry, frustrated, you name it, because they thought this external thing in their life would do it and it doesn't. And so it's really not the amount of effort because that's where I would go. I would say, all right, if there's a result I want, then I'm going to put in a lot of effort to make that happen. And it was almost like in my mind that the amount of effort should equate to a certain outcome. And that's not at all true. We can do a lot of effort to spin ourselves on a hamster wheel. But if our end result is to be off the hamster wheel and feeling out of a cage and out of and freedom, going faster and faster on that hamster wheel is not going to get you that outcome, right? So it's really about the right effort that aligns with the frequency of the result that you want. And this is really important to take note of because it takes our consciousness and to really hone into what will consciously allow us to make change or to receive something in the external that is in alignment with what we desire, that there really has to be this alignment from within. And so that frequency piece is vital because what we're looking for on the other side, there is that sense of freedom that how we want to feel from experiencing that, or expansiveness, whether it's love or health or success and wealth. There's a sense of expansiveness that we want to feel. And so it's crazy making when we contract ourselves so much by hustling and efforting and pushing ourselves in a way that exhausts us and contracts us, to think that that's going to bring us expansion. But this is the insanity that we do, myself included, hands up that I've done this many times. It's insanity when we consciously integrate all aspects of ourself, mind, body, spirit, emotion, and how for us to feel fulfillment in life, all those aspects need to be touched upon. Yet our ego can be very externally focused. And that is by design, because that is the way the ego distracts us from our truth. And our whole point of us being on this human journey is to remember our divinity. That's why I love this podcast, that I'm perfectly divine, because you and your human journey is perfectly designed to support you to move through these ego layers so that you remember your divinity, your magic, and expansiveness that you are. But it's not going to come through the ways that a lot of times we've been taught in society. I know that's how I've been taught, pull up your boots and keep moving forward and push, push, push. There's a place for continuing to move forward, and we want to do so wisely and not go into the same patterns that we tend to fall into. So really, again, when we are talking about, it's not the amount of effort, it's the right effort that aligns with the frequency of the result that you want. So, people who work for minimum wage, they are some of the most hardest working, efforting people that we can witness. But it doesn't mean it, that remaining in that place will probably not get them to the expansiveness of wealth that they're learning or wanting to receive. But they're learning currently with that part of their journey in where their efforting can take them and then where the limit is to it, right? And so we want the same for ourselves. We want to see when we show up for ourselves and we're in integrity with that and we're giving our best where that brings us. And then what are the internal aspects that need to shift so I can go to that next level, that next place that is in greater alignment with the expansiveness that I want to experience next. And so this can be a hard pill to swallow because we love the idea of efforting and pushing and making things happen rather than look at the internal pieces that need to shift along with the actions that we're taking. So in the past, instead of ingesting this growth that I was being required to do, I find myself doing some things that I want to share with you because not only was I doing this, but I see others in the same type of hamster wheel actions where we're just not using our higher consciousness to align with our wisdom, with our logic, with our emotion, with our physical bodies to make things easier on ourselves. So this is what we do. A lot of us tend to do. So we're going for something. We've got this expectation, and with expectation, we can have this attachment, right? And when we put that effort in and it doesn't happen, one of the first things that I see happen is we lose patience. And this is, again, very human. And so we're losing patience, and your mind gets really focused on this external outcome of this external outcome should be different. It's like we have this sense of, this isn't fair, this isn't right. Based on the amount of energy that I've put into this, I should have a different outcome. So we lose patience and we have this kind of irrational thinking going on. So then, because we have this irrational thinking that the amount of energy you put into something means that it should be different rather than the quality of the energy, we try to use our rational mind over our intuition to fix this. And when we do this, we're cutting ourselves off from our higher mind that has a connection with the solution. And I'll say solution. The soul's in there, right? We want the soul to be in our solution. But that's not going to happen if we're using our rational mind over our intuition. We do this when you amp up how you are going to force things to go your way. Oh, yes. And the more stubborn you are, like I have been, the more forceful you get. This is when you're like, I am going to figure this out. And again, not in an intuitive, not in a holistic way, but really relying on the mind alone, which has its limitations and just goes towards this efforting. And this is tied to our ego when we do this, because our ego is, again, saying with pride, I can make anything happen, and doesn't care about the cost to your essence, to your soul. And then we'll get outcomes that demonstrate that. Either they're never going to align, where you won't receive any version close to the outcome that you desire, or if you do, it comes with a cost. It's not worth it. So we demand, we force, we push to find an answer. And this pushing is also this efforting of making things happen, right? So we take more intense action. And a lot of times that is saw as courageous, but it is courageous when we fall down and we get back up to continue to take action. But when we fall down, hopefully we learn what made us fall rather than I'm just going to fall down and scrape myself off and get back up. That's how we tell people to keep going rather than, whoa, wait, how did I fall to begin with? And can I learn something from that so that gives me insight as I also get back up and move forward? So the more we're just like demanding ourselves to get back up and keep going and pushing to make things happen, the more this action is going to be fear based. And this is where you are trying to do anything and everything to change your external circumstances, to match your desired outcome, except the one thing that needs to really be done, which is the internal work. And we're going to avoid that because that's the harder thing to do, right? And so then you're going to feel overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, you're either going to push harder to exhaustion, which is crazy because, again, you may get what you want, but on the other side of it, it's not sustainable or it's just not a fit. I mean, I remember being in this place where I was like, okay, I'm ready to have a serious relationship. I want to get married, blah, blah, blah. And there were signs that this person was not right for me, but I was ready and I was going to make this happen. And I was going to, bend and contort myself and make it fit him, make myself fit with him and vice versa. And there was all these arguments. Oh my gosh, what was I doing? Right. Do this with work. We do this with relationships. I mean, friendships, our children. We can do all this twisting and contorting. And when we do that, we exhaust ourselves and it's not sustainable. It's not what your heart is truly looking for. And so when we get to the state of exhaustion, the fascinating thing that at least my ego does, and you can raise your hand if your ego does this too, I use this as evidence of like, yeah, I've earned my right now to have what I desire. Like I've shown up, I've made compromises, I've done it all. So now I deserve this, right? And my exhaustion is proof. It's like this martyr mentality of like if I, throw myself all in, again, whether it's using wisdom or not, whether it's in alignment with my soul and how my soul wants me to honor and love myself, or your soul to love and respect yourself and how you're going about doing things, doesn't matter or not. We pride ourselves in this exhaustion. And then when the rational mind can't see a way, because eventually it's going to hit a wall, it won't be able to see its way through. You either give up, shut down, become closed off to possibilities, right? It's just like, I mean, you want to curl up in a ball because you're mad at the external, you're mad at yourself, you're mad at anyone around you, and you're negatively comparing yourself to others, right? Especially those who have what you desire, or your body or your mental health shuts down. I mean, this is where we're led to. And so we see how this hamster wheel that we're on with our ego just keeps us trapped. And so this is the mindset of attachment. It's this crazy hamster wheel, and you spin and spin your spin and spin and spin until you're in a tizzy, right? And you're exhausted. You fall off the hamster wheel. That's the only way you get off because you're not consciously thinking, you're not consciously connected with your higher self. And then you find a reason that you blame as the reason why you've fallen off the hamster wheel. And then you pick yourself back up and you say, okay, if I can control this other thing outside of me, then maybe I have another chance. And that's the crazy making. When we start going into controlling things outside of ourselves. So if you're trying to improve your health and you want to lose weight, you're like, okay, well, it didn't work with exercise. So this time I'm just going to try eating less or eating less of a certain food. If you want to find love, maybe you try a new app or this dating rule you heard about. Or if you want success, you're like, okay, well, this didn't work this way. So maybe it's this strategy or this new technology that I need. And so it's always something outside of ourselves. And then we're back on. We are right back on that hamster wheel. And we push and push and push ourselves again. And this unhealthy energy is this belief that if I push at these and try to control these things outside of me, then I'll get my way. And this is your ego's way of trying to prove itself rather than access the wisdom of how you are being guided to grow beyond this attachment. And again, when we don't get this in our minds, in our beings, we're going to usually struggle with our emotional and mental health or physical health. And this is not a punishment. This is not a judgment. This occurs because it's absolutely is not sustainable. So how else does our soul tell us that this is not sustainable unless it has to give us a situation that clarifies to us this really is not sustainable, right? So it's it's not the direction that's going to truly fulfill you. So your mind continues to go on this place of believing that if it can control things, which is working with your ego, this is what is going to keep you distracted from your real power. And what makes it confusing is there are external elements that we need to engage with in a wise way. Like it does matter what food we eat, its strategies matter, but only to a degree. And our ego and our mind will overemphasize these aspects because the hard part to look at is that when something continues to fail, the common denominator is ourselves, right? Like I'm the common denominator to this rather than all these other things that I want to blame and make it about rather than me. So this doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It means that there's something off with your perception. I'll say this again. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It means that there's something off with our perceptions. Our perceptions get clouded all the time. And that's why we have our emotions to help guide us, to let us know when our perceptions are off so that you can start to shift them. So your perception is so vital because it impacts how you are responding to yourself, the talk you have within yourself, how you're responding to life and all its challenges. And these perceptions are either working for you or against you. And that's why we have negative feelings to guide you, to help you know when your perception is coming from fear, lack, not enoughness, shame. And your negative feelings are trying to guide you back to a perception where you have inner peace, self trust, and a place where you know the love and expansiveness within you so you can let go of that death grip on whatever your ego wants you to attach to. So this reminds me of something that it just happened like a few days ago. I had a bird, a live bird, get into my house. My husband and I still have no idea how this happened, right? So it was in like our great room, our first floor. And our home has, I think it's like 10-foot ceilings. They're higher ceilings. And so we have sliding glass doors all around on most sides. And then right above the sliding glass door, there's like 2 feet windows above that. And so in between the sliding glass door, there's like a little perch or for where this bird kept landing until there was this next window. Okay. And so I'm literally trying to say to the bird, like, hi, bird. Like, I don't want to hurt you. I want to help you get out. So I open up all the screen doors really big. But the bird is like, I am safer above this person. And it kept staying within that 2 foot height above the sliding glass window. So I'm trying to talk to the bird and like, here's the way out. And I get this net, which probably I know you're like, Michelle, what are you doing? That scared the bird. I was just trying to help it. Like I thought it wasn't like a net that would put over it. It was like a net to skim a pool so it could land on it. Anyways, still scary. But I thought with my good intentions and good heart that it would just jump on the net. No, I'm scaring the thing, right? So I'm scaring this poor little bird. Opposite of my intention of what I was trying to do. So then finally I'm like, okay, we've got to Google this and try to figure out how you get a live bird out of the house. Thankful for Google. And so we had to expand the possibilities because what my mind was telling me to do, and even with good intention, what my mind was telling me to do was not working. And it was not working to make the bird find a more expansive possibility to their way out because the bird was afraid. It's like, how did I get myself in this mess, right? So, how do we apply this bird story to ourselves? All right. So, fear, lack, not enoughness are aspects of shame that you are carrying subconsciously that contains a continuous story as to why you aren't getting what you want. And when you operate from fear, lack, or not enoughness, you will get that outcome mirrored back to you. So the bird can't obviously have the insights to look within their emotions, their fear, to see what subconscious story the bird is telling itself. It's like survival mode, right? So, but that's similar to us when we try to tell ourselves, like, it's okay. I'm not going to operate out of fear. I'm good. And you try to power over your perceptions, it does not work. The problem is that there's still a belief lurking within your perception that has an emotional tie to it. And so whatever you're perceiving, you can try to mind over and say, "Oh no, I'm not afraid." But energetically that's felt within your body that there's a belief that says, "No, actually I'm afraid." So changing the storyline isn't enough. You have to believe in the stories that you're telling yourself. So, in order to believe in a new story, you want to address the parts of you that believe in the old story. When we understand what the old story is telling us, we can start to see the limitations we're putting on ourselves. Just like the bird, its story was, I got to stay high to stay out of reach of these people who look who are look fearful to me. And i and I had to find a way to create a more convincing story to help it lower itself just 6 inches really to make it through my sliding glass window. And so again, thanks to Google, I knew that I had to turn off the lights. My mind was not telling me to turn off the lights. My mind wanted to see where the bird was. Turn off the lights and then turn on an outdoor light to help the bird see another way. So while this was happening, I was not thinking of it this way, but I thought about it afterwards, what was going on. And so it had this limited perception of this is the only safe way out, and it couldn't get out that way. And by turning off the lights and creating a light outside that could give it a different perception, it flew right out. And so this is how we and why we want to listen to the aspects of yourself that feel limited and find the opportunity to grow that they are offering for you to be able to see. As humans, we get to be able to refine this within ourselves. And the most powerful way to do this is to go into what you are making, not having the thing you're attached to or the expectation that you so think you should have or want mean about you. What does it mean that you don't have it? And how are you using this to define yourself, your worth, your lovability, your enoughness? And then receive the present moment of not having whatever it is that you're attached to and what that is offering you instead. And first and foremost, it's always offering us the loosening of the grip of the attachment to what you want, and instead to be with what is. This is the gift that we can give ourselves. And we need to be able to step into the pieces that we fear, the pieces that we judge, the pieces that we're telling ourselves we're lacking without. And then allow this present moment to teach you about the importance of your innate self versus the importance that you're putting on something outside of you. It's always coming back to you, because this is where we expand the love that we are. So, what is the perfection in the moment to support your next stage of growth? How can I receive this gift rather than continue to try to force and force and force this diamond shaped peg into a round hole? Then you'll learn it's not about the thing your heart desires, but the journey of the diamond remembering its true brilliance. Then you shine no matter what. That is when you are less attached to the outcome and allow the brilliance of the universe to shine upon your unique brilliance. Let that reflect upon you and receive those blessings through honoring the journey rather than the outcome. I know this is some spiritual and emotional heavy lifting that I'm asking you to consider leaning into. And I also know that you are strong, spiritual, and sensitive, which to me means you are built to do this. You are built to demonstrate this, because it is a challenge, but I know the blessings that await you when you are willing to go deeper and deeper into the spiritual and emotional growth and heavy lifting that there is for you. You are this beautiful diamond. And the biggest block to your own brilliance is the cloak your ego uses to think something outside of you somehow will make you shine more. That is an inside job. And so, as a diamond, you are guiding yourself to shine. Shine, diamond, shine, because that's who you are, regardless of what is going on around you. So until next time, know that you are divine perfection as you are. There's nothing to prove, fix, or get right, just to remember.
I am so honored you have joined me today. If you enjoyed the I'm Perfectly Divine podcast, subscribe so you don't miss any of our power-filled episodes. Also, if you know another who is strong, sensitive, and spiritual and wants to dive deeper into emotions and ancient wisdom so they too can create profound peace and fulfillment from within, please share this podcast. Thank you again for joining me, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon.